Go ahead.
Welcome back to Packernet. JJ Leahy, Ryan Schlip, and shortly Jake Schvink. We are getting rolling without him, so we got to hold on some of the funny things that I grabbed this week for us to react to. So I guess that means we're going to actually talk about like meaningful football stuff for a few minutes before we bring Jake in and let him derail us. Ryan, I put up a tweet that I didn't think anybody was going to care about because people usually don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sitting at 25,000 views and a bunch of notifications. I had to turn it off. Where I just suggested that I think Matt LaFleur checks all of the boxes of being a great offensive coordinator. And where he leaves me wanting is the head coach stuff. So, like, prep for big games, culture, holding people accountable, hiring and firing coaches. Those are the areas that I don't feel comfortable giving him a strong passing grade in those areas. And those are the areas that I think really separate offensive coordinator from head coach. Can you give me a reaction to that idea and talk about your views of Matt LaFleur as we stand here today, more than halfway through this 2023 season?
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with what you said. I'm not sure what all the comments are. I mean, I'm sure some people are very against his play calling and whatnot, but I mean, it's just for me, it's kind of I'm trying to decide because I haven't really had to think about it before how much all of the good stuff matters in comparison to the other stuff. Because one of the things that I kind of commented on was if you're winning, the other stuff kind of takes care of itself, right? And if you're losing, I don't really care how good of a culture guy you are, you're probably going to lose the locker room. There's still some other things, the accountability and the hiring and all that stuff that's problematic. But I guess that's kind of where I would be stuck is if he's doing all those things really well and is able to create a very good winning football team, assuming that they can just get the right talent, do you want to ship them off in hopes of finding somebody that's a little bit better at the managerial stuff while potentially also ruining the potential to have one of the better, in my opinion, play designers, play callers, etc. So I haven't fully fleshed that out, but that's kind of where I'm sitting on that.
The other big thing that you're getting with Matt LaFleur as a positive is the QB whisperer element. Right. I think every quarterback we've seen him ever get his hands on, and maybe I'm just forgetting some guys who really flopped, but everybody we've ever seen LaFleur work with seems to play at like their max potential. You look at Matt Ryan and Jared Goff, like way higher production from those guys with the Matt LaFleur influence than anybody thought they had. And I know there's a lot of frustration with just the entire Packers offense. I didn't like Jordan Love as an NFL prospect.
Right.
What I have seen from him in his time here last year and this year, really doing a lot of work with Matt LaFleur and Tom Clements, I have been impressed. I know certainly I'm not going to assume that everybody agrees that he's the guy, but he is outperforming what my expectations were of him as a draft prospect. We got Too Old for This in the comments here. He's expressing a split loyalty conundrum here. He says we're asking him to pick between Packers Total Access and Derailed. Here's the thing, Too Old for This. Both of these get published to the podcast feed. So whoever you want to send live messages to, catch the live stream for that, then listen to the other show later. We also have a follow-up comment from him, Voodoo Mama Juju, which is the name that Ryan's going with today on the screen for those of you who are just listening to the audio version. He says, from now on, I'm calling you Angela, Ryan.
That's fine. It's not any worse than Pac Daddy, I guess.
Joe Pereno. The other day, I had to ask my Google Assistant on my phone to send a message to you. and send a message to Pac Daddy out loud. I realized that I never wanted to do that ever again. Joe Pereno in the comments, I'll never get over when LaFleur cried in the hallway when being interviewed by The Rock earlier this season. Once you cry, you got to go, bro, he says. Hey, 499 super chat from Joe. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Here's my stance on that. I don't like coaches crying ever, but it's a part of coaching. Like every football coach I can think of has cried at some point. Maybe not Bill Belichick. All the others have cried at some point. You just gotta hope they don't do it in front of you, I guess. Too old for this says, I so can just sit here and cry. Andy Bernard. Matt LaFleur. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. Nice to see we got people in here already. We got a super chat already from Joe. Drew rightly points out that the Michigan coach was crying. Yeah, that was the interim coach, Sharon Moore.
That was awkward.
I mean, everybody's first reaction was, gee, I didn't know Jim Harbaugh died. Man, that's crazy. And then somehow he's back in the locker room later, still fine. So I'm sure Sharon Moore was really relieved to find out.
Relieved, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot of online is that people feel a lot better about the Packers, the overall team, and especially the offense after the Steelers game and after the Rams game. But the frustration that a lot of people had with the offense in general has kind of laser focused in on Christian Watson right now. How fair do you think that is?
I think the pitchforks are out. I think every week we got to find a new villain. We went from Josh Myers to Christian Watson, and next week it'll be somebody else. I mean, I don't fully understand it. I understand he's had some drop issues and whatnot, but the absolute pitchfork, burn it to the ground thing is a little silly to me. I think Aaron Jones has bigger, I know for a fact Aaron Jones has bigger drop issues than Christian Watson does. The entire team has had drop issues, and I do think a lot of these throws are a big part of the problem, and we're blaming Christian Watson. It's not to say that under different circumstances, a different receiver could have maybe come down with some of these errant throws, late throws, under throws, but I don't think it's cause for a complete, this guy's a bust, attacking his family on social media. I mean, it's just gotten completely out of control to where there's just massive overreaction. I mean, now we've got Matt LaFleur needs to go because of his comments to the media, which I don't care for the comments he made, but the absolute overreaction to him explaining like what a down lineman is or whatever, it's just gotten to be silly to me. So, does he deserve criticism? Yes. Does it? It's 100,000 times more than it should be, though.
Yeah, I think on the Christian Watson's family note, I think I'd like to put this out there. My message to both Christian Watson's family and the Packers fans, but only one of those groups actually listens to this show and cares what I say, is resist the urge, okay? Because I think everybody needs to just kind of cool it with the constant like crossfire attacking. And we kind of know at this point who Christian Watson's family is, and that is very defensive of Christian. They love him a lot. They're going to go to bat for him all the time. Now that we kind of know that, I would just like to encourage everybody to resist the urge to engage with that if you're feeling feisty. Dang, where the heck is Jake? Really thought he'd be here by now.
Well, that's all right because the $4.99 super chat got split two ways. So there you go.
That is true. Jake has no claim to a super chat that came in when he wasn't even here.
That's correct.
Eric says his concern with Watson is the number of picks thrown when he's targeted. Is that a Love issue or a Watson issue? The stat doesn't take sides. It just exists. I don't know that I have an answer to that, but I do just kind of always feel like the really great receivers make it easy to throw to him. I'll just say that. We can share the blame between Christian and Jordan. But I personally, I'm kind of at a point where I do think adding another really solid, like a wide receiver one, is kind of a top need for the team right now. I know there's a lot of hype about Jaden Reed. I'd just like to point out that hype was not there 2 weeks ago. So,
and it won't be there next week. Yeah, 2 weeks ago it was Wicks, and then it was Reed, and that's what I mean. I mean, it's simultaneously the negative is way over the top, but so is the positive.
Right.
Like the defense of Jordan Love, like okay, if it's not all his fault, fine. But the idea that like he was great, he was elite, he all these throws, like freaking calm down. Like either people are the worst and need to be kicked off the team, or they need to be in the Hall of Fame. It's like this is get like Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is the whole reason our offense works. It's the greatest thing ever. We just need more Aaron Jones. 2 weeks later, he's washed up. He's a bust. He's a bum.
Right.
Guys, just freaking calm down because you're going to sound stupid tomorrow. So just please relax.
Yeah, and you can throw Sean Ryan's name on there as well. Like last
Oh,
week.
yeah, I forgot about that. That was huge, too. He needs to be out there.
He was going to be the savior of the offense. With where you're sitting today, Ryan, how much benefit do you see for really going on a tear to end the season versus the draft pick position? Because I know where I stand on this, and I think that we probably don't agree on it. I'm much more on the side of, yeah, it'd be nice to really have the great draft pick, but I think I'd rather carry that momentum at the end of the year of like guys figuring some stuff out and figuring out where they fit in the team and establishing themselves. That to me is more valuable than the draft pick position. But where do you stand on that?
Well, I guess, and I don't know if we're saying the same thing or different things, but I want to have a good football team as much as that seems obvious. And I think my biggest thing isn't so much the carryover, because I don't care as much about, like, well, they're going to be upset and then they're just not going to play as well next year or whatever. If we end up with the top 3 pick, what does that probably mean about the majority of our roster? That's my concern. Like, Jordan Love is not good. Christian Watson's not good. Matt LaFleur is not good. Everybody needs to be fired and kicked off the team and overhauled. Is that worth it to get, a top wide receiver? No, not if we have to lose half of our team. And if it, turns out Rashawn Gary is no good and all, I don't want that.
Right.
So, but I also don't want to win games just because the opponents suck. And, I want to have a good football team. So if they can end on a strong note, if we can have what we're continuing to have, which is growth, where Jordan Love is getting better every single week and is showing first half play as well as second half play and playing better as far as the deep passing. And we're seeing Jaden Reed emerge and we're seeing Musgrave emerge. I'm in favor of that. I mean, it's going to suck if we get the 15th pick instead of the 5th pick, but if it means that we have 60% of our roster intact, that's a better trade-off, in my opinion.
Welcome to the show, Jake. Nice of you to drop by. We've been debating how we're feeling about the offense, starting to get into a little bit of Matt LaFleur talk and figuring out, trying to figure out what we have on the team right now. And I think a big part of it begins with the coaches. And Jake, before you get on here, I was very briefly mentioning a frustration that I have with Matt LaFleur's ability to go out and hire new coaches. And if we're looking at the, 2 weeks ago, we did the breakdown of the defensive coaching staff and who needs to stay, who needs to go. And we were kind of talking about just get rid of everybody. And I do want to talk about the offensive coaching staff as well. But I think we have to have a conversation too about, I guess, Matt LaFleur's track record. I don't feel like the track record of bringing guys in has paid off that well. Like, I think the best hire he's made recently seems to have been Tom Clements, who, was just Aaron Rodgers' buddy and is returning to Green Bay after having been here in the past. So I don't really want to give LaFleur like full credit for Aaron Rodgers hire. But like even, look at just kind of I don't want to say that the special teams has been a disaster, but like for what we're paying Rich Bisaccia and for how hyped up the Rich Bisaccia hire was for the first year, which I don't know, we improved to like middle of the pack as opposed to like the worst ever. Like the special teams isn't great. And like Rich Bisaccia has never been an elite special teams coordinator. He's just like, he had that cool year in Vegas where he was the interim head coach, and feels like that's why I brought him in. And I think a big part of what everybody hoped was that would be a huge positive influence on the locker room, on the whole team. And I don't think that we're necessarily getting a ton in the way of actual fantastic special teams turnaround as a result of that hire. So, Jake, yes, where are you at right now on Matt LaFleur potentially replacing coaches next season? I feel like you have to replace some of them. A lot of people are pretty much already have their minds made up that you need to replace both coordinators, offensive and defensive. Talk to me about your thoughts on the coaching staff and the path forward there.
I think it's easy to say that obviously, you don't want both coordinators back, and the idea of, oh yes, let's get rid of both. I just, for me, I have to dig a lot deeper to figure out who I would want to bring in to be the solution for both coordinators. I think it's, easier to talk about head coach replacements because those guys are always, being more talked about in the space. So yeah, as of right now, though, I do think, Stenovich, it seems like might have just too much on his plate in terms of what he's doing all week. I think it'd be a lot better if he was, and I think we've mentioned this before, back to doing offensive line only. And I think that would be much more beneficial. But obviously, I don't think he's going to take the demotion lightly, right? So, that gets you in a position where now, okay, it's fine. The offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator wise, I struggle with this a lot because I think when you look at the defense right now, they're, I want to say like 8th in terms of tied for 8th in explosive plays given up in the passing game, which is good. Very nice number. The problem is they're bottom 5 in explosive plays allowed in the running game. I don't know what changes. The run defense has not been good since Capers has been there and had capable guys up front who can, handle a gap and a half, take on some double teams. It just feels like the personnel and execution in the run game is not good. And you could throw anyone out there and it would be that way. And I think that's partially philosophy related. And that goes all the way up to the GM. So as far as the defensive coordinator, I don't know. I'm trying to think who I'd be looking at to bring in, because I'm sure that he's probably at the very least going to be scapegoated this season. So I don't know. We'll have to dive in and look at a lot of the candidates. And Chris has obviously put in a super chat here, and I think he has a bad track record, so I think he needs to be introspective on that and what he's done to this point, and hopefully make an adjustment. We can't do that for him. We can only sit here and suggest, okay, maybe this guy would work really well in terms of the personnel we have, right? So I think that'll be interesting to kind of dive into further. As of now, yeah, I think both coordinators, it seems like, are on the way out.
Do you want Matt LaFleur back next year? I don't think that he's on the hot seat, but there's a lot of fans who don't want him back. And I do have specific issues with the job that he has been doing as the head coach. That I think if you go through the list of like what's an offensive coordinator responsibility and what's a head coach responsibility, he checks all the boxes for, like, he's a fantastic offensive coordinator.
100%.
And then you look at the other side of it, and I don't have a high degree of confidence in the job he's done in those head coaching areas. So play design, play calling, quarterback development, I'm extremely happy in all three of those areas. I think the locker room culture seems to have been a problem a lot the last couple of years. Now, obviously, you start winning some games, that changes. But preparation for big games, I feel like that's always been a problem under Matt LaFleur. Mm-hmm. Guys just showing up not ready to go, hungover sometimes. I mean, like, geez. Holding people accountable, players and coaches, hiring and firing coaches. These are the areas that that's the difference between an offensive coordinator and a head coach. Those are the areas where I don't think Matt LaFleur is checking the box for me. Right. And it doesn't mean that he can't do it. He's been here for 5 years. I would really like to see some growth and development from him in those areas.
Okay. Yeah, I think the toughest part of this is what you said in the beginning of what he's doing well, right? And it's all about the QB, a lot of it. And if you want to interrupt QB development, if you're still on the Love train to this point, that's a dangerous thing to do. Okay, we've seen a lot of these quarterbacks, these young quarterbacks. You can point to in the division, Justin Fields. How many offensive coordinators has he had? Has that helped him at all? Not saying he's good per se, but I don't think he's been helped in that regard. If Carolina goes and blows things up after this year because they just haven't figured it out, how is that going to be helpful to Bryce Young? So my issue with, bringing in, and again, this is, people are going to, Chris has brought up the two guys that everybody's going to talk about for the next 2 months, Bobby Slowick and Ben Johnson. I get it. I understand those are the two guys. Drew just put Frank Reich in the chat. I am very out on that after having seen what I've seen from him.
There's some Josh McDaniels is in the chat too, and I can't
if
people are joking. There's no way you guys actually
are suggesting this to bring in Josh McDaniels. I need you to take a hard look, one, at yourself, and then two, at how the Raiders have done without him for 2 weeks. Okay, I don't care who they've beaten; it doesn't matter to me. Something has flipped culture-wise. McDaniels is a terrible culture hire. You guys don't like LaFleur as a culture hire. Okay, I got news for you. It'll be much worse. Okay, it'll be blame everybody and zero accountability for McDaniels. I would
Josh McDaniels for the OC.
That. No,
Matt Patricia for the DC. Yeah.
I would. Here's what I think. I'd be fine if. I just don't think they have the personnel for this. People want the offensive coaches. It would be nice to have an offensive coordinator that could just work with Love and has this on his plate. It would be honestly really sick, I think, if LaFleur was going to be the OC next year and they could bring in Mike McDonald from the Ravens to be the head coach. I actually think that would be potentially the best solution. I think you have McDonald is basically on a track. I know it's not going to happen. I'm saying the best way.
What if Matt LaFleur is really tired of being a head coach, though?
Maybe,
he's like, man, I just want to be an OC again. And then they're like, guess what? You can do that here.
And that would be great. Honestly, it's probably a fever dream. But I think it keeps the track of, okay, Love has been working with this guy now his entire career. To interrupt that concerns me a little bit. Because I don't think the OC or the head coach coming in, if it's Slowick or if it's Drew, I don't know about that, buddy. Have you seen Jacksonville this year? I don't know about that.
It's a shame we missed out on Doug Peterson.
I don't know about that. They're running. Let's put it this way. They don't have a deep threat right now. Even if you call Ridley and Kirk deep threats, they're not using them as deep threats. They're playing everything 7 yards and in. If you watch the game against San Francisco, they weren't throwing down the field at all. They are committed to 11-play, 70-yard drives for touchdowns, and eventually good defenses like San Francisco just squat on stuff like that and ruin your game plan. He's given play calling away. He loves doing that. It hurts the team when he does it. I honestly don't know what kind of operation he's running. He is doing something this year in Jacksonville that got him run out of town in Philly. he's going on the same track right now, and it's hurting Lawrence's development. So I don't think I want that at all. So I ideally, right, you're obviously getting one of the two guys that I mentioned earlier in Slowick or Johnson, and you hope that one of the two brings the culture that you want to see. I love Ben Johnson's creativity meshed with aggressiveness, meshed with we're going to give you a ton of different stuff off play action looks. That's great. And if Love can operate in that regard, excellent. But
are you proposing hiring Ben Johnson to come be the head coach?
Yeah, I think so. Nobody's coming. Nobody. I promise you right now, Slowick and Johnson are not coming to be offensive coordinator in Green Bay.
No,
it's not happening. Slowick giving up Stroud for Love? No, unless he's the head coach. Absolutely not. It's not happening.
Too old for this. Wants Jerry Gray to come back and be the defensive coordinator. If you don't remember, he's currently, this is our former defensive backs coach. He's currently the Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator and assistant head coach. And this is my big problem with LaFleur's hiring. Can we not just keep calling up all the same familiar faces? Burn Matt LaFleur's Rolodex. Go out there, hire somebody who's up and coming, who is getting this job because they are doing so well at the level below. Go find that. If you're looking for an OC, go find that position coach who is shooting up, who is on that trajectory, who another team wants to hire to be an OC. If you're looking for a defensive coordinator, go find that guy. If he's a linebackers coach that hasn't previously been the defensive coordinator for the winless Lions and for the Redskins,
right?
And who worked with LaFleur for a year, 8 years ago. Go find that linebacker coach who's young. Like we were all talking about Ejiro Evero. That was the guy.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what you're looking for. One of these rising stars who doesn't have a connection to Matt LaFleur, who is only getting this job because they are good at what they do.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do that. Let's not go hire the Wisconsin Badgers defensive coordinator that isn't even getting any interviews from any other NFL teams. The Green Bay Packers should be getting the best of the best, not the leftover scraps that nobody else is interested in.
Yeah. And by the way, Evero, not the problem in Carolina right now. Not at all. He is not the problem down there. They got a lot of other issues. It's not him. So they can obviously they can go traverse the Fangio tree if they would like to, and go for the kind of young and up and coming disciples there. See, this is the thing, like a Jim Schwartz, Steve Wicks caliber DC. Jim Schwartz is his own. He is his own guy. Okay, there's not a lot of guys like him in the way he sets up defense. Green Bay would have to shift a few things philosophically. They have great personnel up front for a Jim Schwartz to come in, no doubt. Attack, love that. I think Schwartz would love to have, Brooks and Wyatt. Maybe you're adding Jason Newton to that mix in the draft, and you have guys who can just get after it as pass rushers.
Is your concern is the back seven? Good news, we don't have one. We got to build that up from the ground anyways.
Right. And that'll be a lot of man coverage, a lot of cover one. You got to have more for that. And that's going to take Goody saying, okay, well, now I need to, spend high capital on corners who can man cover. They haven't necessarily done that, right? They got Stokes and Alexander. Alexander maybe could be a man cover guy. Stokes, he's still probably at his best in in more quarters, in more three where you can turn and run. I think that's where he's best suited. So you have now kind of contrasting styles at corner. So there has to be, Goody's going to have to adapt. Will he? That'll be the question. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. The only thing that, not retreading, I think you don't want to retread, these middling guys, like you said. Like, do you really want Dan Quinn to come in and be head coach? It's going to be a lot of cover three, which might be suitable for the back end. But I don't know. Doesn't move the needle for me. Now,
what I like about cover 3,
would Lou Anarumo move the needle from Cincinnati? Bring him in?
If you can get Lou Anarumo,
Probably gonna have to be the head coach, but you find that up and coming offensive guy then with Anarumo, and maybe you got something here. So it's tough. I obviously we can suggest all these things. LaFleur's not going anywhere, especially for the continuity thing at the quarterback position. I think, like JJ, you've already said, he's a great offensive coordinator. It would be hard to disrupt that a little bit and go a different direction. I get it. I think I've seen the fan base and how they act. To be honest, where we've seen it. If the Packers come out flat with Ben Johnson as the head coach next year after 4 games, people are going to lose their minds. Like, why have we done this? Even though they were clamoring for it all offseason. It's like, well, it's going to take time. It will be an adjustment for everybody, right? Including your quarterback. So,
I mean, the timeline is clear. Like, we have Love under contract for 1 more year.
Yeah.
LaFleur is going to be here 1 more year. He will be here. He'll be the head coach in 2024.
Yeah.
Like, barring an earthquake.
Yeah. Unless
the coordinators, I'm leaning toward probably won't be back next year.
I would imagine, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a big part of that is I don't think anybody who knows anything thinks that Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat in 2023. I do think 2024, the excuses have kind of been run through, and it is time to see results from this rebuild. Okay, you've been rebuilding for a year. Realistically, it's 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Here we're in year 3. You can pretend it's year 2 if you want to, but we need to see results here. And I don't think Matt LaFleur is likely to let himself be hamstrung by poor coordinator results.
Mm-hmm.
Chris wants to know, would a coordinator be interested in coming into a situation with a lame duck head coach?
I don't know why not.
I don't know that the coordinators are going to look that deeply into it.
Offensive coordinator could become an interim and future head coach. I don't know why that. The guy's getting promoted. I think, I don't know. People assume people don't want to climb the ladder, no matter who it's for, and that's people will do that for sure. So I don't think,
and I don't think that that's a bad bet either. I mean, if you as the coordinator, if you do think that this is potentially LaFleur's last year that you're signing on for, and he does get moved on from in the middle of the season, that's not bad for the team and the fan base either, that you get an opportunity to maybe take a young, promising coordinator who you just brought in and let them learn on the job for the last 5 games of a season. Again, I don't think either of us think that LaFleur is getting fired next year, but speaking to the hypothetical posed by Chris of the head coach potentially being a lame duck head coach, I think that that's just a positive for everybody.
Yeah. And Drew said there's only 32 teams. If somebody's saying, you're the quarterback's coach, you want to come be an offensive coordinator for the Packers, I don't think there's anybody who's going, oh yeah, no, I got to pass on that. Got to pass on that promotion.
I mean, people accept jobs with the Cardinals and the Browns and the Jets and the Jaguars all the time. Nobody's passing up the opportunity to come be a coordinator for the Packers unless you just don't want to be a coordinator.
Right. I think, maybe there's some credence to, I don't want to be the OC under an offensive head coach. That's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's entirely possible, but still, I think that, if you're an offensive guy who's working up the ranks, becoming an offensive coordinator in Green Bay, if they're successful, clearly has yielded results for guys who have been the previous OC. Now, it hasn't worked out, but they've gotten, promoted, right?
Yep.
Getsy was not the OC. He goes and gets an offensive coordinator job. Hackett was the offensive coordinator. He goes and gets a job at Denver. Right? Obviously didn't last, but he's not going to suddenly disappear then. Right now he's offensive coordinator for the Jets. So it was like guys will be able to have that opportunity to take a leap if they're good.
And I'm totally drawing a blank. I can picture his face exactly. Who was our interim head coach when we fired McCarthy? Joe Philbin. Joe Philbin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was the OC. He got to be the interim head coach for like 4 or 5 games. Mm-hmm. And I remember Aaron Rodgers was like really ticked that he wasn't like the front runner to get the head coaching job after that because he liked him.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody knew exactly why Joe Philbin was not in consideration for the head coaching job after they saw how those games went. But he was given the opportunity.
Sure.
He was. Okay. We got one more question here from Eric, and then we got some funny things I want to look at together. Eric says it's the general consensus that this could be Matt LaFleur and or Goody's last draft with the Packers. Do they hitch the wagon to Love or try to capture lightning in a bottle? I'm going to say no to everything in there. I don't think there's anything in there that I agree with. I mean, maybe that this is Matt LaFleur's last draft, but I don't know how involved he is in drafting, really. I mean, we know that he was heavily involved in the decision to select Jordan Love specifically from among the quarterbacks that he really liked Jordan Love. But I mean, other than that, like Brian Gutekunst and his staff, like they are the ones who do the drafting. It's not that Matt LaFleur is uninvolved, but I don't think that there's a big Matt LaFleur influence. I think that Matt LaFleur and Goody talk about, hey, here's pieces that I need in order to run my scheme. I need an H-back. Okay, I'll go get you Josiah DeGuara. Like that kind of stuff does happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I need Derrick Henry. Okay, I'll go get you A.J. Dillon.
Right.
I know people don't like A.J. Dillon or Josiah DeGuara, but the point is that those conversations do happen. And is this Gutekunst's last draft with the Packers? I can't imagine so. I think the Packers are relatively happy with Brian Gutekunst, and I think that even though fans aren't, I think they should be. Fans should be happy with him. I mean, obviously the whole thing does definitely revolve around this huge question mark of like what happens when Mark Murphy retires. He's got a mandatory retirement. What is it, like the middle of 2024? Do you recall? Like June 2024?
I think it's 20. Is it 2025? Like right after the draft?
Might be.
It's like right after. Yeah, July 13th, 2025.
Okay.
Is that so it'll be after the draft is hosted there in Green Bay. So
are you guys satisfied with Goot? Like I'm never perfectly wholly satisfied with anybody, but I think like the math bears out that Brian Gutekunst is one of the better drafters in the NFL. I'm largely pretty darn happy with the job he's done. I know that Packer fans are hypercritical of the misses because you don't look around at the rest of the league and see what the rest of the league is doing poorly, because that doesn't get talked about very much.
No.
When you're looking
at
your
bubble.
Yeah, when you're looking at other teams' drafts, you're not seeing all the misses. And
you only just see the players who hit on other teams.
You only
see, oh my gosh, Fred Warner, third round, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay. But like what go look how many third round running backs the Niners have taken in the last 6 years. How many can you name that are, Tyrion Davis-Price, Trey Sermon, and Joe Williams from Utah. Anybody know his name? Anybody remember that name? I doubt it at this point. He was like picked 65th in that draft. It was terrible. And, nobody cares about it because all they see is Fred Warner balling out, which, again, fair, but people miss. I'm satisfied. If you asked me 2 years ago, the answer would probably be no.
Really?
I think, 2 years ago, before the Campbell and Douglas signings, that kind of, I think, really, really invigorated the team a little bit. I would have probably said no. just because I think 2020 I wasn't thrilled with the draft. 2021 was weird. There were things I understood. I understood kind of maybe the vision a little bit, but
that's we got to stop with that, because if you get me talking about the 2021 decisions,
right,
we're never going to stop.
Right, that's what I mean. So we get there, and I wasn't at all. He makes really nice signings, right, in Douglas and Campbell. 2022 draft, really liked it. Day 3 was obviously is yielding a lot of results right now. I know that Rasheed Walker not everybody's thrilled with him right now, but I promise you, tackle depth who can play matters right now. Look around the league. Okay, offensive line play sucks right now. It is nice to be able to go, oh, and I get it. They're starting right now. It doesn't feel as good, but it's nice to be like, oh man, can we lean on Nyman or Walker for a game? Yeah, probably. And that's like something, a luxury that not a lot of teams have right now. And why you're probably going to see 10 tackles go in the first 45 picks next April, because the talent's so high. People need it. So you get that there. Obviously, you got Tom in that draft. You get Enikbari, who's in the rotation. You get Dobbs all on day 3, right? And this draft, I think with, you see Wyatt coming on from the last draft. This one, you have Wicks and Reed already producing as young players. Musgrave starting to find the stride a little bit. Like they figured things out. I get that, and I've been critical of this as well. I don't always love these big swings in athleticism. I'd like to have some like good players right now who have some ceiling still attached to them. Some doubles that can turn to triples, not, okay, we're swinging for the fence every time. And, this might be a strikeout. So I get that. But the last 2 drafts, I think he's been pretty strong. And I think he's really kind of saved things a little bit with him, to be honest.
Eric says he trusts Goot and his team with scouting and drafting, is not satisfied with his handling of trading and cutting players, says his communication skills appear extremely weak. I'm all the way 100% out on that now. I was interested in discussing it when like Aaron was really frustrated over some stuff with how some guys are being let go. Like I know Mike Daniels is another example of this, but I think I'm just completely out on it now, because I think it was the Rasul Douglas trade was what kind of was like the final thing for me of like, I can't take anybody seriously anymore who's criticizing this. He personally called him, and people are ticked off about that. And I'm like, all right, there is literally nothing that he's going to do that is going to satisfy you.
No, I don't think so.
I no longer have any energy left for discussing how Goody should cut guys more gracefully. Like I'm sorry, it's a business. It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think you're just. And I get it. I people side with the players. I'm totally on board with all the players, right? In getting what they deserve in terms of, money and injury protection and pension stuff and all that for playing an extremely dangerous football game. I get it for sure. I just think we have unrealistic expectations of what a general manager is going to be. You're not going to be, chilling with this dude on, Thursday nights on the bye week. Like that's just not like what GMs are. That's just not what they are. So that expectation of like we're fans, we like the players, right? We don't think about the general managers that way. So I think it's just that expectation is going to be, a little bit warped. So, and I like this, Drew. Yeah, both of Drew's comments. Once we get a studded offensive tackle, suddenly the depth is really good. And that's kind of where we were at with Bach, right? When Bakhtiari was like coming into the season healthy and played, it was like, oh, wow, like look at all this depth we have. And I know a lot of the depth has been, some of the depth has been forced into action, and it hasn't been great. But at times it's been serviceable, and we can handle that. Joe Alt to Green Bay would be sick. I think that immediately shifts how we think about the offensive line. And I agree with this, saying he hasn't given up on Kraft yet. I haven't either. Tight end is extremely difficult to play, people. I don't. It's one of the tougher transitions. Corner is extremely tough. Obviously, quarterback is as well. Tight end is not easy. I get it. Like everybody's infatuated with like, oh, wow, look at Kincaid and Laporta. It's like, yeah, they're pass catchers. Of course you can find space for pass catchers in an offense. Like that's going to happen for guys like that who can kind of work the short and intermediate, right? Kraft is coming from an FCS school. It's going to take some time. Like it took Dallas Goedert a little bit of time to get going. It happens. It happens that way.
Ryan, are you able to hop back in here? And I don't know if you can hop in and enjoy some laughs with us. Ryan might not be able to. He, I guess he's still on the can, so we'll let him do that. All right. So first of all, we have this interaction here with Stephon Diggs, and what's this called? Is this NFL Espanol? Is that what it is?
Oh, ESPN Deportes.
¿Cómo estás? Lo siento.
Come on, play.
Monday Night Football? Sí. 1, 2, 3, 4. Monday Night Football. Americano football. Fútbol americano. Fútbol americano. Bills Mafia. Bills Mafia. Hermano, gracias.
Bills Mafia.
Bueno, ¿qué onda, mi hermano?
Tough scene, not putting football first and then Americano for Stephon Diggs. It's tough scene. It's probably why I only caught, a few passes last night. Not knowing Spanish, man. That's tough.
Did you see Stephon's brother talking about get him out of Buffalo?
Yeah.
Dude, it's never the diva wide receiver's fault ever.
Never. No.
All right.
Not at all.
I'm sure you saw this one.
Ridiculous.
We'll play this. This is Matt Eberflus's answer when he was asked if Justin Fields was going to play.
Like you said, he's not medically cleared to go right now, and he's getting better though. I mean, he's accuracy's improving. He's throwing it better, and he's starting to do more and more and more. So we'll see where it goes. And right now we're listing him as doubtful, and we'll see where it goes from there.
If he's not medically cleared, well, how come doubtful versus out?
Yeah, just to see. We got to give him one more day. But he's working hard, and it's getting better every day. So we'll see where it goes.
He's not playing tomorrow.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Why hasn't the medical staff seen clearance yet? What are they telling you?
What's that?
What
What's
the heck
medical
is going
staff
on, man?
telling you in terms of why they haven't given him the clearance?
Yeah, it's really just the clearance is just obviously he's got to be cleared to play with the medical staff, and so it's really about him feeling good about it and the medical staff saying that he can go in there and function, and he's just not there at this time.
Is it an issue of grip strength or?
It's everything. It's all improving. The grip strength, the accuracy, the ability to function as a quarterback. It's just.
I've had
it's all
some
right there.
coworkers.
Man.
I'm
In the
just
past,
I'm having
this
trouble.
is how they answered our
He's
boss.
not playing, but
This
he's
is so
doubtful.
funny.
Is he out or doubtful?
Now he's listed as doubtful.
But you're saying that he's out. He's not going to play.
We'll see where it goes. Chances are
What is
doubtful
happening,
51%
bro?
that he's in or out. And
What the heck is going on?
He said 51% chance that he's in or out.
No, he said
To clear him out when he's out. Right now,
40
we're still
seconds
listed
ago, he
as
says,
out.
"Oh, he's not going to play."
Will he go through any
Right.
sort of pregame work?
What is
He may.
going?
He may. Yeah.
What is going on? This is like the worst game of chess this guy's trying to play right now. He's like, well, he's listed as doubtful. We got to give him another day. He's not playing, right? Yeah, he's not playing. It was like 51%, doubtful. Like, what? But I do like that he goes. So the accuracy is getting better. Like, first off, that's not a thumb injury thing. That's a translation. Hey, teams, his accuracy is getting better. Maybe you come trade for him while we take Williams or May. That's a really nice little nugget kind of snuck in there by Eberflus, kind of going, okay,
Right.
like, this isn't the guy. We're gonna go draft the guy clearly with Carolina's pick because they suck. So yeah, guys, the injury's gonna be fine. He's healing. The accuracy is getting better. Come trade for him. Improve your offense. Like that was a very nice little nugget there.
Well, also the whole awkward stumbling around bit reminded me of when Kyle Shanahan, I think it was Kyle Shanahan, was asked if Jimmy G was gonna be here next week, and he's like, "Well, I don't know if anybody's gonna be here next week."
That's
good. You might die in the middle of the week or something like that. And you're like,
yeah.
dude, what we're asking.
I love that because that was pre-draft, right? I think that was them picking Trey Lance, and I think people were like, "Well, they're taking a QB, so is Jimmy going to just get traded to another team?" I definitely remember that because it was right before the draft. Everybody was having so much fun with it.
He's like, "Can you guarantee that Jimmy will be here next year?" He's like, "Well, I can't guarantee that any of us will be here on this earth next year.
Will any of us be here by Sunday? Something like that, like
Sunday." That's what it was. Yeah,
yeah.
will
It
any
was
of us
like, will any of us be here
by
by Sunday?
And it's
then
not
it
like
was
they
just
were like
really
a
fun.
2-win team either. Like this is like
Yeah.
one of their good years too.
Yeah.
So.
And this was always, and I remember people just milked that thing the entire, like through the entirety of the draft. It was like someone was asking like, hey, do you have like a day 2 mock coming out, after the first round? And I don't remember who said it. It might've been Ben Solak who said it. I don't know. Somebody did who was doing one. And he goes, well, do you even want it? Like, we might not even be here on Sunday. Like, it was really good. Like that quote was epic.
As also,
I love that.
Also, the thing about like when Kirk Cousins was like talking about how he might die or something, but like super flippantly, and people were doing like the Rocky, like if he dies, he dies meme, like Kirk Cousins talking about himself. I think it was about COVID. He was like, well,
oh, that's right. No,
was funny.
That's definitely what it was. Yep.
All right, have you seen this guy Ross Creations? I don't
think so.
I've been following him for like 4 years, and he's got just like the most clean, nice, hilarious videos ever.
Okay.
Oh, is it not playing? Why is it? Oh, it's muted. It doesn't
like when problem or possum or something. I'm not, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I tried every kind of trap, different kinds of foods, and I just haven't been able to get them. I heard him in the attic at first. He got out of this one. And, I mean, I tried them all. I don't know if you guys have certain traps that you catch them with or something like that.
Yeah. You know where they're getting in?
Well, no. I mean, about a week ago is when I first seen him. He's right in here. I don't feel comfortable going in there with him and stuff.
Oh my God. You're not. Dude, there's bear.
I haven't been able to get him out yet, so.
They put a grizzly bear in his house.
Can we get him off of our walls or something? I mean, what do we got to do here?
He sticks a grizzly bear in his house and calls an exterminator.
She loves this stuff, but I can't get her to leave. So we're going to have to call an exterminator.
That's the best is Orkin coming through.
Yeah.
They definitely deal with bears.
Exactly.
Hey, if you throw some cheese at it, I think you might solve the problem.
He did another one where he took the tires off of a car, and so it's just on the rims. Okay. And then he drove the car to a shop and just asked them to change his oil. And like the whole goal was like leave the shop with only having his oil changed, even though there's no tires on this car.
That's funny. That's really good.
Ryan, can you put my
I like that.
Yeah, there we go. Extra roll of toilet paper there, Ryan.
Get it! Looking for someone to come out here as soon as possible. Got rats, a possum, or something up there. It's big, Bubba. Come on in! Hey! How you doing, sir? For 3 days, they've been going this way, that way. I hear them. You can hear them right now. I hear them everywhere. Some of the babies out around here.
Oh.
But I don't care nothing about them. It's the big mamas.
Yeah, it looks like mama's had some babies.
I have lots of different kind of traps.
Poison's good for the outside, but if they're inside, they're going to die. I hate to say it. If...
Get it! Hey, get back here! Well, you help me grab them.
That was the weirdest shit I've ever seen.
Oh man, that's funny. Great videos.
All right, a little different flavor. Same guy though.
So good. That's so good.
This is camping in front of stores that aren't having a sale.
Oh, this I saw this. I didn't watch it.
Did you?
I definitely saw this on the timeline. Okay.
I wish I could make it bigger. Every time I go full screen, it
seems like the volume doesn't. They're just like buffers.
Right.
So full screen.
It just buffers.
When any employees ask you what we're doing, we're going to say, we're just really excited to shop. And tell them that we've been camping there all night. I love how many people came at freaking 9 o'clock on a Thursday.
Good line. Like all the way down the block.
I'd say we got here around maybe 7 o'clock last night. So.
Well, I guess Best Buy is selling things today, so we're gonna see what their price on water is.
Been here since last night. What is?
It's last week.
Oh, we drove from Texas.
Should have said it open. Just should have said it open.
Yeah, 11 last night.
What are you guys waiting for?
Just we're excited to shop.
I like that.
Can you open up early for us?
We're gonna let you guys in early.
Everything in Best Buy is for sale.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. From Tennessee, you drove, dude?
Straight.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Maybe someday Derailed will be big enough we can do that.
Oh
Drew's talking about the little rodent trap that he had to catch the bear, and he says, "I love how small that trap was."
I know that was really good. That was really good.
Drew,
So
I
I'm
did
not sure
try
what it
starting
is.
it first and go to full screen. What'd you
Not
say?
sure what it is. He's like, I'm not sure what it is. This traps aren't working though.
He's got just a normal rat running around the house, and he's like, "Yeah, it's like one of the babies. I want the mama." And then the homeless guy falls through the ceiling.
That's so
That's
good.
couch.
Those are really good. Really, really good. Love it.
All right. Well, the goal was to be done by the top of the hour. Here we are, 7:59 Lambeau time, which is great because I have an early morning. Prayers for Ryan's bowels.
Yeah,
since he's still stuck in the toilet.
It's been a while.
He's not actually on the toilet, but somebody in the comments suggested that's what it was. So
I love that people kept running with it, and Ryan himself ran with it a little bit.
Right.
That was really.
If Ryan hadn't posted in the comments, yeah, that's what's going on. I would not have kept it going, but
yeah, right. Oh, that's good.
Drew says, "Did you guys talk about Aaron Rodgers?" We didn't. I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, that's
we're not getting the first round pick.
Yeah, no, it's
And
impossible.
yeah.
They could run 90 plays a game, and I'm pretty sure that's not happening. It stinks. It would have been really nice if Zach Wilson could have helped us out a little bit, throw more picks, kept the defense on the field a little bit more.
Yeah.
Suddenly started to, not throw interceptions, which stunk. But he was fumbling it a lot. So I love that they said we're good. He pled the fifth. I'm like, oh, do you need to change the QB thing? He said, I'm plead the fifth. You got me there. And then it's like, nah, we're sticking with him. He started. Just leave me alone.
I did,
but
here's the Aaron Rodgers thing that I think is funny to talk about. Did you see he dropped that box and something came flying out of there? It looked like a $1,400 bottle of tequila or something. It falls over on its side, and you can see liquid just glug all on the field.
Yeah,
he's just casually stuffs it back in the box. Oh, you weren't supposed to see that. I thought
that was interesting. I know Pat McAfee asked him about it. He asked him if it was something else.
It's his ayahuasca juice.
Yeah,
it is the cleansing liquid he's supposed to drink for his Panchakarma cleanse. That's what it is.
Yeah, so if you drink that on the sideline, suddenly you see Zach Wilson playing good football. It's a strange phenomenon. So
I wonder if that's what Adam Gase used to use.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, that's why his eyes looked like that.
What is Adam Gase up to? Before we end this, I have to look this up. What's he up to these days? Where is he? Adam Gase, not in the NFL right now. What is he doing? Former coach. I have no idea what he's up to.
You think guys won't take promotions? He got hired as a coach twice. Head coach.
Right.
2 times. So we'll go back to that.
August 4th, former Jets coach Adam Gase attends Broncos practice. Probably explains what's wrong with the Broncos then. I don't know. Here we go. His Twitter is still active. Adam Gase, New York Jets head coach. Oh, this is a parody.
That's a parody.
I was hoping that his thing still said, "No, you shut your mouth, Drew. Adam Gase is not our next OC. Shut your mouth." How dare you?
I'd rather have one of us do it, and I wouldn't know where to go, than have Adam Gase do that. No, thank you.
I think I would get a NFL Football for Dummies manual and stay on the sideline and just pick plays from there. That's what I would do.
I would love to be. Oh man, if I was on Hard Knocks and like was actually a coach, I would just do that all the time.
Yeah.
Just
Just
mess with them.
totally screw with them.
Just like have that football for dummies book. Maybe just have it just walking with it on the sidelines while everybody's stretching, upside down, turning the pages. Just make sure the camera gets this, and make sure you're mic'd up and go, man, I feel good about what I'm seeing here. I like what our offense is going to be this year, and just keep turning the pages.
I know some of these words. What you could do. Oh, this is like what Connor Stallion should have done. So you get the book like custom printed up, so the cover is like coaching for dummies, but then the pages are your actual play calls. Like this is your play call sheet.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he could have hollowed out the book, been reading it on the sideline. There was a camera through the book. It's like, oh, I can't.
Adam Gase could hollow it out and put his smelling salts in there.
Well, Aaron Rodgers could hollow it out and put his ayahuasca juice in the book as well. Oh man, I messing with like the Hard Knocks crew would be really funny, honestly. It's like, all right, guys, you're in the huddle. You're like, all right, guys, I saw this play in Madden. It's called 4 verts. We're gonna run that, and just make sure the mic picks it up. It would just be so much fun. Like, guys, I'm gonna be honest. That drive is just like, guys, I'm gonna be honest. That drive stunk. I thought, they were gonna be in this thing. I saw this cover 2 thing, and I thought we could beat that. Turns out they weren't in that, so I don't know what to do. And just be an absolute buffoon, just to be funny the entire time.
If you're a little more subtle, like you could, you're going up against the Jets, you could be like, all right, yeah, that play worked. I ran against Salah and Madden last night, and it worked too.
Will McDonald thought he could beat me in Madden last night, but I just spammed this play. We're gonna try it today. I think that would be perfect. And I heard you guys were talking about earlier the draft pick and whether you'd rather it be better or not. Sure, that was an interesting discussion. I'll have to listen back on that as well.
If I recall correctly, I think it actually got cut short by you joining the stream.
That's my bad.
And then we kind of got back on track because you joined.
You left a draft discussion when I joined. What is happening? What are we doing here?
Well,
we just didn't want it to be the whole stream. That's what you did. You were kind of like, all right, hold on. We can't be talking about this when he enters.
Maybe it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not.
All right, Jake, thank you for joining me tonight here on Packernet Derailed. Thoughts and prayers with the artist formerly known as Pack Daddy. He got Jim Harbaugh halfway through the episode, so I'm gonna do my best Sharon Moore impression.
Yeah, please. That would be really good. Really good. Where's the
team? Ryan, I love you, man. I did this podcast for you. I'll bring you some toilet paper.
No, we just battle for that guy every day, and we're just thinking about him. We're really thinking about him. I need to give the Blake Corum bloody between my eyebrows thing going on.
Just like some spaghetti sauce.
Yeah. Dang it. That would have been so good.
Here's the thing. Ryan is still he's still got the reins of this live stream right now. Like we can't end it until he presses end.
Oh, nice. So Drew said Drew said he's saying he wants to hire draft pick. I think after pick 5, it doesn't matter where you pick. Genuinely.
Well, if we don't draft Marvin Harrison Jr., I kind of don't really care where the pick is because
I kind of do a little.
I mean, Joe Alt is really cool. I don't really love the quarterbacks.
Oh, you know what would be hilarious? Honestly, I was thinking about this because everybody's just talking about Mayhem Williams a lot. I think it would just kind of be hilarious if Stroud's just way better than both in the NFL career. And I think that's very possible that it happens, right? I think it could be a very 2020, 2021 situation where everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at these, extremely physically talented quarterbacks, right? And you have the previous class of Burrow and Herbert and Tua and Hurts, and they're just no, we're just actually better than you guys. And it always has been, right? That would be pretty hilarious, to be honest. It's
what supports your scenario is that's what's currently proven. We know CJ Stroud can be good in the NFL because he's been good for 3/4 of the season.
Yeah.
We have no proof that Drake May is a good NFL quarterback.
Correct.
We don't know that. CJ Stroud is leading the league in like yards and touchdowns or something right now.
Yeah.
So like proof of concept is there.
Yeah.
Just because all the talking heads, in the draft community are insisting that Caleb Williams and Drake May are the next coming of Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean jack. I mean,
yeah, no,
if I'm putting money down, I'm just betting on the guy who has done it already.
Yeah.
So I think
100%.
your scenario is totally plausible.
Yeah, they'll be graded out as better prospects than Stroud by pretty much everybody. But again, doesn't really matter.
What's their S2 score going to be?
Don't know, don't care. We've moved on from that. The S2 score talk, RIP. April 3rd to April 24th. It was a great run.
Nobody had ever heard
never
of it
hear
prior
from
to
you
that.
again. Yeah,
right.
Never hearing from you again.
It's going to be
it's an auto block.
His Wikipedia page is going to be the only place you ever can find any record of what the heck the S2 score even was.
Yeah.
Did you hear? I'm sure you did. CJ Stroud was talking last week about what he would be looking for in a quarterback prospect. And he said, first of all, I would never draft a quarterback who wasn't a multi-sport athlete. And he was talking about the benefits of that, which I thought was interesting. I have always really liked multi-sport athletes as draft prospects. The other thing he said, which I just thought was brilliant, was that he would want to sit down with a draft prospect, that quarterback, have him break down some film for him and explain where what was the exact quote? He said, explain to me the exact moment where the design play breaks down and your instinct takes over. And I thought that was really interesting too. And obviously he's just a rookie and it doesn't really mean anything, but he knows more than I do. And I found it interesting.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because you'll have guys that'll say it right when the first read's not there. Almost guaranteed you will have prospects who will say that. You will have prospects who will say it, a second and a half later. I think you'd probably see that exact scenario happen with May and Williams, to be honest. So, yeah.
And what was always cool with Stroud in college was his brain was a computer. And so those, the third level reads, that was his bread and butter. That was what he was good at. That was his extraordinary trait. And so makes sense that would be what he values, in quarterbacks,
Yeah, absolutely.
How much of that actually would translate to trying to find an NFL quarterback in the draft? I don't know. It's his opinion, and I found it really interesting.
Yeah. I know Drew said, remember, combine and pro days will change a lot. Yeah, but if you remember last year, Stroud and Young were the top two guys from jump, from May, from June, all the way through summer. It stayed that way. You will have guys join the fold. There's no doubt. Someone's going to join the fold in the top 6, 7 as QB3. We just don't know who it is right now. And I think that will determine potentially and change how, we look at the QB class. I don't think the top two are going to change, to be honest. We're now 11 of 13 weeks into the college football season. I'll be honest, I've seen a ton of film on both. They aren't moving. If Williams doesn't ace the draft process, okay, he's not going 1 then. That's really all it is going to be, is which one goes first that changes. But
I think that you would have to take May first, just because of his floor. I think Caleb Williams ceiling, everybody thinks is higher, but I don't know. To me, it kind of hurts that he's a bit of a Fruit Loop. I mean, he is.
So I think this is maybe it's a crazy thought to say, but I think it changes depending on what conference you're in, to be honest. I know May's got a pretty pretty good ceiling. But if I'm the Patriots and I know who's in my conference, I'm pretty sure I'm taking to Caleb Williams because you have to have you want to beat all these guys, like, goodness sakes. I mean, just imagine if Richardson hits, right? Like, that division minus maybe Levis breaking out as well. We don't know. Obviously, he's regressed after game 1. I don't think it's going to happen. I wasn't a fan. I think we've kind of seen what the ceiling looked like, was a good deep ball thrower and whatnot. But if Richardson hits, you have just in that division, it's Lawrence, Richardson, Stroud, right? And then you have Herbert and Mahomes, right? You have Burrow, Lamar. Maybe Deshaun, I guess, perhaps. But then you have you have Allen, Tua, and then Rodgers, presumably coming back for another season. Yikes. If I'm the Patriots, like, maybe you think May has hit a ceiling worthy hit and you go with that. I think that's totally fine. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
we might have to have a demigod playing the
smart.
position to get through everybody. And I think that was, partially Indy's kind of process. If they were going between Richardson and Levis, I think they were like, well, I mean, they both have their faults. We might as well swing as high as we can. We know what division we're in. We know what conference we're in. That might play a little bit into it. Probably not as much because they're both be kind of equal in terms of potential, like where they're at and what their ceilings could be. But it could change the approach just a little bit. But
I mean, Levis didn't even end up going in the first round.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So it's what it is. But
all right, I'm going to cut you off there because I know you can talk my ear off about the draft all night long.
True.
And I know that if we keep talking about this, I'm going to get sucked in, and I'll let you.
Friday evening.
So, yeah,
Friday evening, folks.
I'm excited, man.
Friday evening. We'll be back. We'll be having a good time with that for those interested. We'll talk, as much draft as you want to. Who knows how long that'll be.
Anybody listening who has not yet checked out the Friday draft show, check out Jake's YouTube page. He's been doing it every Friday. It's a good time.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Go Pack Go.